devs are like, you know what? We have max level characters in all these games, and we know exactly what you're talking about with the healing, with the tanking. And they're like, and just trust us, our game is not like that. And so, like, to use an illustration, I was thinking of, like, before Halo came out, you could never imagine playing a shooter on a console because no one's ever done it right.
I still can't do it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I love me some Halo.
Well, some people they play Call of Duty and everything on their Xbox now, and some people argue back and forth between PC and console. Yeah,
PC for the win.
But I mean, millions of people now play and prefer console shooters, and so what if EverQuest Next finally has done it right? They've done this. No tank, no healer, no Trinity combat. What if they've done it right because they're super smart AI and it's just going to make everything. There's still going to be coordination and everything, and we honestly don't know. But it's like with everything else, we just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Well, I look at, like I told somebody earlier, personally, I'm withholding final judgment on it till I actually get in the game and play it, because there is nothing to say that they won't do it right. That there isn't some hidden mechanics in there that make it work. But after playing Guild Wars 2, I am a little skeptical on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You and me both. It's easy to be skeptical when you've seen a game that was so promising and then you see the combat not be what you expected. And it was ambitious for them to try that, but again, that's where players are concerned, and I hope they get it addressed sooner as opposed to later, so we can see how it works and so they can make any adjustments they need to make.
Well, to stick up for Guild Wars 2, the combat is actually very engaging, very, very fun. I did level to level 80 in Guild Wars 2. I just avoided the dungeons. I loved doing the events. I loved doing filling in all my little hearts and doing all my crafting, but to go in a dungeon, no thank you, because it wasn't coordinated. But the combat was fun.
I actually really enjoyed the tanking in Neverwinter. I can honestly
I know, that felt powerful.
First game that I got in, and I felt immersed as a tank. The shield blocking, the when they turned their back, and I would do double damage or whatever and make them turn around. So definitely, it can be done right to a point. I fear what is happening, and this is one of the reasons Guild Wars 2 has done this, is that they are building the game with a very strong PvP influence.
Oh, see.
And the Holy Trinity does not work well with PvP. And if you look at Guild Wars 2, the people who are really left playing it hardcore are the WVW, and
Absolutely.
they have done the WVW excellent because their combat model works very well for the WVW, but it does not work very well for PvE. And I see a lot of striking similarities here, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just throwing that out there that is a very, very strong possibility. Because what's his name, Dave Gregorian? I can't ever pronounce his last name. He was very excited about PvP when they mentioned PvP, but he didn't go into any details on it. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I see this type of combat system. And like I said, I may be totally wrong, but we may be looking at another very strongly PvP-oriented game. Which, if you're a PvPer, more power to you.
Yeah, but if you're an EverQuest player, who of us played EverQuest at PvP?
Not many.
Exactly. Well, we can only wait and see, right?
That's right.
We have, and like I said, for the developers' sake, I really hope they get this out there in the open. Let us talk about it. Get our input about what's going on here. Maybe they can adjust, like this whole roundtable thing. I have high hopes for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to see any of the hot topics ever make it to the roundtable.
No.
But we'll see. Give them the benefit of the doubt because they are trying to utilize it. We'll just see to what step.
Cool, guys. Thanks for your input on that. Trinity is always a hot topic. It seems very, very polarizing in the MMO world. Trinity or no Trinity. All we can do is wait and see if they pull it off. I think the biggest thing that stuck out of me with the presentation was the multi-tiered world. And we have the pictures there, Neonia.
Mm-hmm.
We have the one here of them peering down from the destroyed ground into the lava area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, well, when you actually saw the video, which I believe we just kind of played, I was just like blown away. I'm like, I've never seen anyone do this before. Having a completely tiered landscape. And if you cue that next picture, Neonia, we see what they were talking about. And this is right from their debut, from their cast. We see at the top, we see the land, and then we see 3-4 more tiers of stuff going on there. And I saw that, and I think that's what almost knocked me out of my chair. Was just in different tiers. Did you guys have the same reaction? I guess that's what I want to ask.
Oh yeah, I think that is absolutely awesome. I love the 3 levels. I think it is gonna add a lot to the game in general from every aspect.
Well, I think I'm in trouble because I tell you what, I don't like heights, and is gonna suck a lot. And if that happens as often as it looks like it could happen, I'm in trouble. I really hope I find those shoes, because ouch. Yeah.
So you could float.
Yeah.
What did Dave Georgeson say? I mean, what did he say about you could take a pick and carve into a mountain and everything is destructible?
Minecraft,
and that makes me wonder, is there some hidden null boss stuck inside the side of a mountain in Antarctica or something?
Oh, remember the Plane of Fear? How about the first person that actually went into that portal and couldn't get back out?
Exactly.
And this world kind of it made me think back to when I first played like Vanguard or something. And so you come upon like this little cave, and it's like this tiny little cave, insignificant, no like this is the epic cave of awesomeness or anything. You just walk in it, and then 3 hours later, you're still going down into this cave. And so that's
Yes.
and it was so epic. Like you didn't get to any boss, you didn't get to anything.
I was
but
going to say,
wasn't
unfortunately in Vanguard, it wasn't populated yet.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't get any loot or anything for
So
it.
why was that epic if you didn't get anything? Just
Because
it
it
was
wasn't-
exploring. What was in there?
Because it wasn't about that. It
But
was
what was
like
in there? I'm just
we're
curious.
we're just a group of 5 people.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, there was mobs and stuff, but you go, like, how cool is that to go into like this cave and there's like this epic dungeon and you're just fighting all these things and you have no care, like no reason to go in there, and you're like, okay, you're disappointed because there's no boss.
That would be me.
Well,
you were excited
But it's like-
because
Be like, I just spent 3 hours and I got nothing. No, I'm just
the
kidding.
possibilities. You made a mental note. Here's an epic cave. Maybe if I come back in 2 months, there'll be something.
Exactly.
After an earthquake. After an earthquake.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so that's how this would be, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna go dig into this mountain. Hey guys, I found this cave, and we just keep going. It doesn't matter. It's like, oh, we don't have all these scripted things. Oh, this mob's around this corner and stuff. It's like, you just keep going, keep digging, and all of a sudden they said you come upon this hidden temple in the middle of Norath, and you're like, okay, let's go fight in this temple and everything. It just seems so like adventurous and like epic. And they said next week when you come back, you can dig in that same spot, and that temple won't be there. And so it's like total randomness and exploration just seems like infinite in this game.
Exactly, and that's what seems so appealing. And
Yeah.
I was saying something to Neonia the other day, or yesterday I think it was. How cool would it be if you dove into the ocean or whatever, and you got down to the bottom, and you're chipping away with your pick, or however you're going to do it in EQ Next. All of a sudden, you find this like Atlantis-looking area, you know, complete like Silent City almost, and EverQuest 2, if you guys remember that.
Remember that? All
Or just completely hidden area that nobody's ever seen before. You know how fun it was to find things or discover things in EQ1 and EQ2 and EQ2. Being the first person, it was just very exhilarating. So this is such a neat concept, and the fact that you could pretty much hide anything anywhere you want to. People might not even find it for a month or 2 months because everything's destructible.
Well, and even when you do find it, there's no guarantee it's going to be there next time.
Exactly. So, I mean, it just adds a completely new element, and it's fun. And that brings on the whole destructibility, like we said. Go ahead, Dashiva.
Oh, I was going to mention just one little thing that they were mentioning that these tiers do have a connection to your tiers and gear levels. So it's like you can imagine the overworld, the top is like tier 1, so you need your tier 1 gear or whatever. But as you go down every level, The next level below it might be tier 2. The next level below it might be tier 3. And so you might be digging and all of a sudden come upon this thing and realize, oh man, we can't go that far. So let's stay in tier 2 and gear up and stuff. Yeah.
Well, they did us the benefit of showing us the destructibility in the game. They showed a lot more than we're going to show tonight, but we found a video on YouTube of the Karen guy spinning around and just wreaking havoc, so we could cue that up. Absolutely. Really interesting because everything's made of voxels. So...
And I agree with you, Wrenchin.
Obviously there's no sound to this video, but you can see how much destruction this lion dude is doing.
It just goes to show you when they say... Yeah, when they say, hey, we're going to be able to destroy everything, it's limitless. It's got to be limitless, and that's crazy.
I really like that, too. I like the idea if I'm swinging a mighty warhammer and I miss and it hits the wall, I take a chunk out of the wall. Mm-hmm. That really adds to realism for me, and I really hope when I do it, that like in that video, rocks fly out everywhere. That will be cool.
Yeah, I like the one quote. They said there's one thing for sure in Everquest Next, you'll always be able to tell where a fight was.
Well, perfect example of that. Yeah, perfect example of that. Liette, I think it was you that mentioned the Iron Golem that they showed. We have that. We're going to show it again.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to all the destruction going on, but let's see it right here.
Just watch the trees. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You just watch the golem. It's like, ooh.
And I love how the little guy's running away.
He runs in the building. Like that's gonna help.
And the golem's like, okay, whatever.
Man, that dude's freaking massive.
Yes.
It's like, hello, I'm gonna grab you now. Run away.
Nice.
I can't punch you in the face right now, but I'm gonna punch your building.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Goodness.
I enjoyed that.
Well, and there's no way someone's going to be able to take that on their own, right? A big iron golem? Even 2 people. Like, how could you possibly go out and take on this giant thing with 2 people? I mean, there's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that part because we have a video for that, too. We have a video for everything tonight.
We have a lot of videos. I'm sorry for the little technical issues here, but I'm handling it.
Oh, that's all right. Learning experience.
I need a 3rd monitor.
So we talk about these voxels, and most of us have played Minecraft, right? Or we've seen how you can build and destroy and stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, it looks a little bit that's kind of where SOE's going with this. Okay, we have a picture here. You guys saw the sphere in the video where they built the sphere with the voxels. And then they were using the smoothing. And they changed this voxelated sphere out in the middle of the EQ world into a smoothed over stone. Which is, I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Now, coming from a person who has played Minecraft for a long time, I did. And I used to go in and I would play in creative mode. I would get myself some graph paper and I would sketch out what I wanted to make. I would count blocks and I would build houses and pixel art and all kinds of stuff. So when I saw this, I was like, holy cow, it's like Minecraft on crack. I'm serious. Like, I could still get my graph paper, I could still design what I want to make, I could put it together, but I could make it look 100 times better than it could ever look in Minecraft because I could smooth it all out.
I'm going to tell you, the possibilities of this are unlimited. And this is probably one of the most exciting things about the game to me at this point in time is the ability to create anything and everything. And that's, I mean, from a well to a house to a village, hopefully a castle. I mean, from a guild leader point of view, can you imagine having your own community? That'd be unbelievable.
That would be. Well, and we have a video for that, and we saw when they were showing the landmark which is what we're going to get into next, and the possibilities, like you said, that we have with that. Let's go ahead and get that video ready. And the amount of things that you can, like, what exactly are they going to let us do? And they mentioned a little bit.
Here you go. Again, I don't think there's sound to this video, but it shows what Landmark can do.
That's very
incredible.
It really is.
I mean, the blocks look the same exact as Minecraft when you're placing them, but the cool thing about it is you can destroy some of the block. You can smooth it out. It just looks really cool. I just like to build stuff, so.
I'm going to turn my girl loose on this. He'll go nuts.
So if I can't raid in EQ Next, I will just build stuff.
You can just build, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think it's amazing that they can add such character to what they're building, too, in making the stone look weathered. When they smoothed it down after having added chinks and chunks and different angles that had fallen off, and then they smoothed it out. I mean, they just made it ageless. How amazing.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that. They really did. I mean, they took an engine like the voxel engine, like Minecraft, and just completely made it into a graphics engine. Which
and we're going to be able to use it in like 5 months.
Yeah.
Or less?
I know, or less. Who knows? Yeah.
Due out this winter.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to raid. I've been dying to raid.
You want to raid?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I haven't been in an MMO where I could progress and consistently raid in a while. So that's what I'm looking for in my next MMO, is raiding. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel.
Well, you know what? I think that's going to be if, like Georgian said, he didn't really elaborate on the rating. We discussed it a little bit before. While we're on the topic, let's throw that video up real quick.
Okay.
And let's all watch it, and we'll see what he has to say about that.
They also like to inspire my buddies. So can you tell us about what Everquest Next is bringing to the table in that regard?
Because rating is important to people.
Ooh, that's a tough question. Okay, well, one of the things that I didn't really touch on in the presentation, but it's important to this conversation, is that we don't have levels. Okay, so this is not a vertical advancement system where you're just unlocking tech tree of abilities and stuff. What we do instead is we have horizontal progression. So as you go out in the world and you find more and more classes, what you're really doing is you're unlocking the ability to do more and more cool things. If you want to attack, say, if you want to go fight a dragon or attack Crushbone where there's like hundreds and hundreds of orcs, you're probably not going to do that by yourself because you're not going to ever become like the 100th level warrior that can take on the whole world by himself. Instead, what's going to happen is that the challenges and stuff that are out there are kind of scaled to the number of players. So if you want to go attack that dragon, you need to bring some friends. And that's where the raid-ish kind of content comes in, because you're going to basically come in, like, let's say you and I go into a fight and we get our butts kicked. We can either go back to our buddies, or we can start looking at our class options and the different character abilities that we have and be able to mix and match what we have so that we can go back in there and face those challenges together in a different way. And if we decide after a while that two people just can't handle it, then we start going to look for other people.
Excellent. All right. The final question I have for you is about...
There you have it. Raid-ish material.
Well,
now, what that means.
Say raid-ish, exactly. And that's what people are taking. They're taking this comment by Georgeson, and they're saying, the way he's saying raid-ish, almost like there's not going to be much emphasis in raids. That's what people are taking from this and making conclusions saying, is this going to be like the end game of Neverwinter, where you have groups that are doing end game? Are they going with raiding, or are they not? And we had this discussion a little bit earlier. So I want to make sure that we talk about this a little bit, because that's a pretty polarizing topic.
Well, the whole phrase raidish worries me. Because he didn't come out and say raids.
Right.
And a raid is a raid. It's where you get more than one group of people together and you go out and you fight something that takes more than one group. That's a raid. It's mass teamwork, coordination. And he said raid-ish. And once again, as much as I hate to say it, forgive me, Guild Wars 2 people, that seems like these big boss mobs, they dropped out in the middle of a zone and hundreds of people just went and beat on it. I am a little worried about that. So we'll see what happens with that. I find it very hard to imagine any EverQuest franchise without actual raids, and if they go that route, well, shame on you, Sony. So, well, I have a wait and see attitude on it as far as what raid-ish means.
I would agree.
Exactly.
And I was very, very concerned about that once I got into watching the panels regarding class, because we just had the big discussion about Holy Trinity and whether that's there, but they also kind of touched on raiding, and someone just made an offhand comment, and forgive me, I don't remember which of the guys it was, but he did say, you know, when I'm out raiding on Saturdays with my guild, and I tell you what, I went, good. So I'm going to roll with that and be really positive for now and hope that they meant it, that there will be raid material there, even if it means I have to dig into a mountain to get to tier 4, you know, the lava of hell, you know, to find those big raid mobs. But that's okay. I can dig a hole and hopefully I'll have my shoes by then. As long as it's there, I'll be happy, you know.
Shiva, you had some things you were mentioning too when we were talking about this a little before. And you seemed a little more positive about where things were going with the rating. The speculation anyway. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, because they talk so much about, because everyone's so concerned. They're like, well, raiding, there's no Trinity. Like, how do you raid without Trinity? Like, everything we've known ever since we've been playing MMOs is tank. Someone tanks the mob, and then someone's healing the groups, and everyone's doing DPS, and they're all doing this certain thing. But like, what if we went into a raid and we reacted to the mob? We didn't react to what was scripted, but the mob changed according to what we were doing. And so if we were doing all this damage and stuff, it would start doing these attacks that would limit our damage, or it would go after the damage dealers or something. But if we had too many tank-like or too many strong characters and stuff, it would start taking down their HP and stuff. And so it was like, they're saying they couldn't talk about it, but they were saying their AI is so intelligent that it's not like Neverwinter, it's not like Guild Wars. It's going to react to exactly how our group makeup is, and it's going to make each encounter unique. And so I can imagine, just like with everything they're doing, they're like, we're not going to do the same old thing, because that's what we all want, right? We keep saying we want the same old thing, and some people keep saying they want something different, and they're trying to tell us everything we're doing is different, and they're trying to say trust us. And so trying to be positive, trying to think of an interactive raid and going into something that you don't know what's going to happen, because sometimes when you go into a raid and you don't know exactly how the raid mob is supposed to do anything, you don't know that he's going to do this attack in 10 seconds, sometimes that's the most fun, right? Trying to figure out a raid. And so what if every time you went into a raid, you had to figure out exactly what the raid mob was doing, or what it was going to do and react to you?
Well, and that's fine as long as there's a way to figure out why the mob does what it does. But once again, you got to look through the smoke and mirrors that they're really not telling us anything at all, and really not answering the question. It's basically, we have this innovative system that can tell if you need to go around the back corner and take a leak, and the mob's going to know it and attack you if you got your pants down.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be hilarious.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I figure a lot of it.
Hold on, guys. I need a break.
But seriously,
he'll find you.
I hate to sound negative about it, but
I was just going to say, I don't want to be negative Nancy, but
truly wondrous system to be able to tell all these variables in there. And developers are brilliant, but they're also human, and they take the easiest way out. And the easiest way out a lot of times is damage meters. Look at Guild Wars 2. One of the things they did figure out in Guild Wars 2 was a lot of it had to do with damage. I think somebody told me the other night it was more range damage than anything else, but I didn't stick around long enough I can't tell you that from a personal point of view. But there's always a little simpler modifier in there that there may not be any at all.
Well, the thing is, if you do take everything we've seen up till now, correct me if I'm wrong, has been scripted combat. Now, if you have a mechanic like that Shiva talked about, where it's not scripted, it's not the same thing every single time you go in there. I think Wildstar talked about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
and you have the AI reacting to you or your group, I could see how that could work.
It could work.
A pre-script?
It could work.
Maybe not so much, but if that's what they do,
never
Dash.
seen it work.
But I'm just,
Exactly.
and like I said, I don't mean to be negative Nancy, but something can be totally not scripted, totally random. Like, I think the bosses will, per se, always have the same mechanics, but you just don't know when they're going to do it. It's not like, all right, 10 seconds into the fight, he's going to bonk you on the head. Not like that. But why do away with the Trinity? Like, why fix what's not broken? That's what I don't understand. And I love to be a dedicated healer. If I can't be a dedicated healer, honestly, this is just my opinion. I don't mean to be negative, but...
And that's going to be a polarizing thing from here until they open up beta. It's going to be polarizing because we have one group that says, why the hell are you getting rid of the Trinity? And then we have the other group saying we need to trust SOE that they have something good.
PvP.
I don't like change. Don't change.
That's it.
No,
that is
exactly
part of
how
it.
you
It
feel.
is change.
I played a Templar all through EQ2 raiding and dungeons, and I loved it. I know the feeling that you have knowing you, but I keep trying to tell myself, you know what, this is EverQuest, and I love EverQuest, so this is gonna come out. You know,
I understand.
Oh, and I guess the other thing that's just got me literally confounded. EverQuest made the Trinity popular.
Yeah.
EverQuest was the franchise that put it out there, and it wasn't originally tank healer and DPS. It was originally tank healer and crowd control. DPS was always just assumed. Mm-hmm. So it's really weird to see the franchise that literally engraved the Trinity in stone to go back and say, we're not going to have Trinity anymore. That does bother me a lot, because to me, as an old-time EQ player, EQ 1 and 2, it was literally a slap in the face when I heard that. Now, keep in mind, I don't judge anybody until I actually get in there and get to play it myself and see what the mechanics are. Because, like you said, it may turn out that they have got something unbelievably awesome, and I'm just going to geek out over it for the next 15 years, which I hope. Because I'm the one in Grievance that's going to lead this guild, so I really want to be happy with it.
And this has been, we've been waiting for so long for this. And they have a lot of expectations to live up to, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Just how the hype and what they showed us, incredible. So, pets. Saw one comment, this wasn't really covered. Darren said, we've got a great AI system. This is from one of the websites that was listing all the stuff. I forget. I apologize. Darren, we've got a great AI system, mobs and pets. They aren't stupid, won't get stuck on rocks, permanent and non-permanent pets.
First thing you wanted to hear in the dungeon. Where'd my pet go?
3 rooms behind.
Exactly.
Your pet pulled all the mobs.
Yeah.
Kukos and Rough Lifer were necros, and they were horrible about that. We would be in Mistmore, and all of a sudden Kukos would type in guild chat, anybody see my pet? Oh, no. And it was like, everybody gather around, get ready, it's coming. And we
That's great. Oh, my goodness.
put it here, and then the mobs would be right behind it.
But that made it fun.
It did.
Frustrating at times, but it's fun.
Yeah,
what's
but
funny is I can see
Memories
that playing out
made.
in my head.
I will
Memories
not
made.
complain.
Now, you had touched on this earlier. Life of consequences, the AI, the dynamic camps, those things. You talked about the goblin camp, or the goblins attacking, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That really piqued my interest. One of the things the developer said, you go out into the woods and there's a bunch of orcs there, yeah, you might start killing them, and you might scare them off, they might go away, but on the other hand, there's another thing that could happen. They could bring in an orc war chief and send hordes of orcs at you in response to your attack. And that plays into the dynamic world
Hoorah,
that they're trying to
bring it.
make here. Because one of the comments he made was, okay, we're just going to throw a bunch of orcs into the world, right? Wherever they go, they go. And I thought that was really exciting, but they didn't elaborate much. You see something like Rift, where they've done the dynamic rifts and stuff like that, but if you make this much of the game dynamic, pretty incredible.
Yeah, this is what impressed me the most, because it doesn't seem like it's not like Rift where it's like, okay, there's a there's a theme park path you follow, and then
Rift
there's like
is
a rift
pretty
that pops
linear.
here. Yeah, and there's a rift that pops here and a rift pops here, but it's like the whole zone can change according to how players play, and so like there could be a camp of orcs in one spot, but if everybody goes and starts killing those orcs, the orcs are gonna obviously move. Here's the AI again. The AI is smart, and so next week when you log in or you make a new character or whatever, and you're running through that area, the orcs aren't gonna be there anymore because people were there, and so but if you keep attacking the orcs a lot, they said other things could happen, like the orc chief is going to come out and be all pissed off, and he's going to bring all these war bands out and everything, and all of a sudden the entire zone could be like this huge war zone of orcs just coming after you and everything, or
awesome.
you could be wiping out enough that you want to go into the cave and go kill the orcs or go kill the war chief, and so it's like all this stuff's going to change dynamically so that zones aren't the same every time you go through them. It's not going to be there's this quest spot or there's this one quest here or anything. It's dynamic.
Could you imagine going out into Greater Fade-Ark, and I'm thinking EverQuest 1 in my mind, all the orcs out there by Orc Hill, right? And you take out like a little camp there. All of a sudden you look over the horizon, you see like lines of orcs like running toward you.
Oh, I know.
Like,
that'd be crazy.
Turn around and haul ass.
There's a game a few of us have been following, a Kickstarter game called Citadel of Sorcery, and they've been talking for the past year a lot about the same type of mechanic. So it's really neat to see that they're going to put this into EQ Next. I am very excited about that.
Yeah, because they got Storybrick to do this for them, and so they have this whole other company that's been focused on doing something like this, these dynamic quests, and just when you walk upon something, everything reacts to you. It doesn't. You react to it, and so they said there is not going to be someone with an exclamation point over their head, and you go click on them. You see something happen, and you naturally want to go talk to them and find out what's happening. It sounds too good to be true, though.
It does.
Yeah.
I hope they're able to do all the things that they're talking about doing, because it sounds really amazing so far. Aside from the polarizing topics like the Trinity and the rating, I mean, the game looks pretty incredible. When I saw it the first time, I walked away. I'm like, man, that's a 10. I've never given a game a 10 before. That's a 10.
Oh, and that's the whole thing. If you go by just the reveal video, it was pretty amazing. There was a lot of positive things that came out of the reveal video. Character graphics aside, what you think about them, the overall world mechanics look very, very dynamic.
They really do, and they've added so much detail. I loved in the fights that they described, well, you might be playing one class that holds the sword over their shoulder, or you might have another class holding it down near their hip. So really just the time they put into the graphics and giving you the detail to make your character play how you want. I mean, if you're an overhand clubber, power to you. You can do it. That's
Call
pretty
me. I'm an overhand clubber.
But that's a really amazing level of, well, we're really thinking about what can make these classes unique and what'll make this game unique. So I love that they're putting that much thought into even little things such as how you hold your weapon. How cool is that?
Only cool if you get to use it effectively.
So let's do this. Final thoughts. After this cast, after everything you've heard the past couple of days, after the reveal. Let's start with you. We left off with you. Let's start with you. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I'm very excited to see where the game goes. I have the same trepidation regarding the Holy Trinity and it being there, not being there, parts of it being recognized or not. So really, I just am focusing on keeping an open mind. This is a game we've been looking forward to for years, and we've had lots and lots of thoughts of what it should be, but we need to consider what it could be in the way the developers are working on it now. So I'm excited, and hopefully we'll be able to get more info very fast because we all want it, and maybe get to check it out in beta. So, yeah.
How about you, Dash? What are your final thoughts on the game that you've seen so far? Obviously, this is speculation.
Yeah, well, on the reveal on Friday, I was like blown away. I was like so excited came home, I was skipping away from work, and I was like, man, EverQuest just looks so awesome. It's so different. This is going to be like, it's so different, but it's exactly what I was hoping for. It was more than I was hoping for. And then all of a sudden on Saturday, no Trinity, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I was like, okay, I stayed up all night, like sitting there with
Drinking.
my eyes closed. Yeah. What am I gonna do? No Trinity. How am I gonna play this game? But after watching the videos, I'm like, okay, they say it's gonna work. I mean, obviously they've all played MMOs and they all know exactly what we're talking about and our concerns. And you're just hoping, okay, hopefully they've done it right. And so far, I'm excited. I like the art. I like the dynamic questing and how the zones are going to change and everything's going to react to you. Obviously, the destructibility. Like, my favorite part was when they did, at the end, when they showed the game live, and they beat that boss on top of that like, little stone outcropping or whatever. And then when the fight was done, practically everything was destroyed, and there was a hole in the bridge and everything. And it was like, okay, that's pretty awesome. Like, how cool is that? Like, you just had an epic battle, and then you sit there and you're like, it looks like I just had an epic battle. And so, like, we have so many months, and they're just holding back what's rating and everything because, hey, next week
keep the hype.
week, yeah, they got to keep the hype train going. And so, I look forward to hearing everything that they're going to come out with in the future.
Nyonya, what do you think?
Neutral standpoint, I'm taking, because I did not play EverQuest 1, and I hardly played EverQuest 2. So, coming from somebody who is new to the franchise, you guys are obviously big fans. You will probably play it regardless of what is to come, just to see what it's like. So, somebody who has to kind of be, like, really pulled into the game, I'm waiting for another game, and right now, I can't see myself leaving this other game for EQN simply because I haven't heard anything about raids and there's no Trinity. But that's just me. I'm one person out of millions. I couldn't do it. Because you know what? My thing right now is I want to get into a game with my guildies, with my friends. I want to hop in TeamSpeak and I want to progress through raids and kill bosses and have a good time. You know, I don't want to run out and kill a world boss with 200 people that I don't know. That's not how I want to play my MMO. So that's my only concern. Not that EverQuest is going to be like that, but community is huge for me. Yes, you know, I like to talk to people on the realm I'm playing, but in reality, my community is Grievance. So that's who I want to play with. I don't want to play with 100 strangers out in the world. But that's just me.
Steelheart, you're going to be guild leading the EverQuest Next guild for Grievance with Liette. Obviously, I mean, that's the plan. So what are your final thoughts with the game? Maybe, like you've elaborated a little bit earlier. Let's get a final thought from you.
Well, first of all, I couldn't ask for a better XO. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to leading this one with Liette. It's going to be an unbelievable experience. As I stand right now, I'm going to play it regardless. It's EverQuest. I'm still waiting to see what's going to keep me in it for 15 years. They said they built a 15-year game. I'm curious to see what's going to keep me in 3, 5, 10, 15 years. So far, I haven't seen it. I've seen something that'll keep me immersed for a couple years, but I haven't seen what will literally just make me want to eat, sleep, and drink this game for 15 years straight. And they say they built a 15-year game, bare minimum. And I'm very curious to see where that game is at this point. So the developers need to come out. They really need to address some of the concerns of the player base before all the naysayers and negativity surmount any positive that they could bring up about the game.
Totally agree.
They need to come out and say, look, we said no Trinity. Excuse me. This is why. We said no healer. This is why. And it needs to be, I hate to say acceptable to the old EverQuest players, but those are the bulk of the people that are looking forward to this game because Sony doesn't advertise. So over half the people that they're looking at playing this game are people that have stepped into EverQuest at one time or another. Unless they have some sort of epiphany and say, oh my God, we need to advertise, then, well, do I lie?
No, I'm just laughing because you're so right.
So this is the crowd that they built the game for. And I would like to say they are going to advertise, but their track record's not so good. So right now, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think we need a little more information to see what type of game that they're presenting us. I don't want to see a Guild Wars 2 clone. I don't want to see an SWG clone. I think they've taken, on the face of it, some really great aspects of some really old and new games, and I damn sure don't want to hear the reason for No Holy Trinity is because we're going to concentrate a whole hell of a lot on PvP. PvPers, I love you, but I'd rather have you have your own server.
Personally.
Really? And they did say there would be different server rule sets.
Yeah, they did say that.
Yay!
And
so
EQ has been
optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Awesome. That seems to be where most of us are at. Guys, thank you very much. It's going to be fun finding out what's coming up next, what they're going to release week to week. And we are planning to do this regularly, like we do some of our other video casts. So Steelheart...
Release something almost every day, so hoorah!
Yeah. We want to leave you guys with something special, but before we do that, Steelheart, thank you for joining us. They'll be leading the EverQuest Next Guild in Grievance. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Dashiva, first time on the video cast with Debuffed. Really appreciate you having you, man.
Woo!
Thanks for your input. And Ionia, as always, thank you very much. We have a special treat for you guys tonight to sign off, but until then, and until next time, this is Debuffed, Gaming News Dispelled, and we're excited for EverQuest Next.
Ciao!
Good night, everybody.
Woo!
Hoorah!
Bye-bye.